Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Argos Anonymous. My name is Adam, and today we are going to talk about not Rena. Beautiful playmat, beautiful champion, not the topic of the day. No, sir. We're going to talk about the infamous, evil Metal Metaial. And here's the deal. I was on the fence as to whether or not to even do the Metaial video because there's so much controversy surrounding Metaial as a champion, Metaial as a deck, and whether or not he should exist or we should like lock him up, throw him in a suitcase, dump him in the ocean, something like that. Here's my theory, and I'm just going to share it. And feel free to share your opinion on this in the comments, if you will. Let's get a discussion going. So, is Metaial, I think it's Metaial, is he powerful? Yeah, you bet he is. Is it? Does it get your adrenaline going and maybe make you feel a little bit of dread? Get a little lead taste in your mouth when you sit down across the table from him? Yeah, it does. If someone's a really good player and they play this, it's going to be a challenging deck. But is it undefeatable? No, it's not. Does it have some weaknesses? Yeah, it relies really heavily on like one great thing. It can be good at other things too, but at the end of the day, it has cracks in it. And so my theory is this: if half the time people are winning with Liam, and half the time they're winning with Metaial, why does everyone hate Metaial? I think it's because Liam rips the band-aid off in 4 to 5 turns, and whereas Metaial is destroying your opponent's shards, and that feeling of slow progressive powerlessness is what people don't like, right? And so like, it's not that Metaial can't be beat, it's just that people don't like the feeling of playing against Metaial. So why does Metaial exist? Let me tell you, and this is just my opinion, because the lore, that's what he is. He's this force, and he's corrupting the enemy, and he's destroying the towers, and he's destroying the shard light, and he's coming in. It's this ever-present march on the continent, and the heroes, the champions of Argos, are coming together to try and stop him before it's too late. And if you play Metaial the deck, or you play against it, you're playing the lore of Argent Saga. And so because of that, I'm okay with Metaial. In fact, I really actually enjoy playing it because I feel like I'm that powerful, destructive force sweeping in to just destroy everything, and you've got one chance to stop me, buddy. And here's spoiler alert, it's right before turn 4. So there you go. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's just talk about it. So Metaial the Silver King is a champion. The way you're going to use him is you're going to abuse his ability to tutor for the silver generals you need, basically. And we are going to pair him with Serpio, a 12 affinity dark spirit. Serpio lets you exhaust to sacrifice a unit at any given time, which is why you have it. Truth be told, that's why you want it, because you are taking advantage of ruined abilities in your deck and of clearing your zones in your deck at the times when you need to do those things, right? But as a bonus, you can soul burst it to give all units minus 1,000 this turn, which can help against aggro, though aggro more lately has come up with a lot of big beefy 1-cost units that don't seem to die to Serpio, but fine. Anyway, we're going to use Metaial Serpio for this. So let's kick it off. Of course, the first thing we're going to have 3 Big Papa. I call them Big Papa Mets. So 8 cost, 6,000 power unit, Metaial Celestial of Ruin. So the way this card works is he costs less to play for every silver army and or silver general unit you control. So you're going to have a lot of those in your deck. So you would like to get this guy out turn 4. But sometimes it's turn 5. I mean, do what you can. The point is, if you're hard casting him on turn 8, your game did not go as planned, right? So this guy has a bunch of abilities that he only gains if you're playing Metaial the champion. Number 1 is you sacrifice a unit to give him immortal. Number 2, you can sacrifice 2 other units to destroy target shard and target unit, and that's what you're going to be doing the most of. Essentially, you're going to be using this guy to blow up your opponent's shards. So you got three Big Papas. Now come your silver armies, right? Silver army units, you've got the staple is the Silver King's Pawn. This is a 1-cost, 500 power Argent unit. You can have as many copies of these as you want in your deck. In a normal Argent Saga deck, in a non-legendary league deck, you can have 3 of something. But these, I play 8, and I never feel like I have too many. I play 8 pawns in my deck, and they are wonderful. When you have these in play, you can exhaust 2 silver army units you control. And if you do that, you can add target Argent unit from your discard zone to your hand. So you're bringing your things back. They're killing your stuff, and you're just bringing it back. It only costs 1 to play, so you're just like popping out pawns all the time and just recurring all of your Argent units, and it's really good. And it's definitely the core engine, one of the core engines of the deck. The next silver army unit we're going to bring out, we've got 3 Silver King's Overseers. So this is a 2-cost, 1,000 power unit. When he's ruined, you search your deck for 2, because your champion is Metaial, Silver King's pawns and put them into play. So this is the ruined ability that we're going to be manipulating with Serpio, because if you do this at the right time, it makes it a lot more difficult for your opponent to cheat you out of being able to play your Met. Like if they play a Sylphia and they name evens, you just kill it and bring out ones, right? If they play Sylphia and name odds, you just leave it and kill it after Sylphia to get 2 things out. And then you can tap the pawns and bring it back to your hand, right? There's a lot of shenanigans, a lot of power in being able to manipulate the ruined ability whenever you want to with Serpio. We're going to have 3 Silver Kings Inquisitors. This is a 2-cost, 1,000 power unit with target attack. This can be helpful sometimes in actually attacking something, but really what you're doing with this is the arrive ability is put target silver army unit from your discard zone into play. So one of my favorite things to do is, like, before my draw phase going into a turn, I will sack a Silver King's Overseer to put him in my discard and put 2 pawns into play. And then I will use Metaial's ability to discard a Liam and search for a Silver General, pay 2, put Liam, we'll talk about him later, but Liam's abilities, you get to tutor for a silver army unit, put it directly into play. So you sack the Overseer, put him in the discard, get 2 pawns out. Then you use Liam to put an Inquisitor into play. This is all just before your turn's even started, just in the draw. And then he brings the Overseer back out, and then you get to untap everything, including Serpio, and now you have 4 things in play all of a sudden. And if you use, like, so if you did something like you Yami at the end of your opponent's turn, you can Yami the Overseer in, sack it, get 2 pawns, use Metaial, bring an Inquisitor out, put the Inquisitor into play, Overseer back into play, have 2 pawns. You can go from nothing on your board to a full board headed into playing Metaial, and you can just do that, like, boop, out of nowhere. So it's pretty dirty. We're going to have some of these Silver Generals in here, of course. The staple is Liam, Corrupted by Madness. He's a 4-cost, 2,500 power Argent unit, Silver General. He's unblockable, fine, but can you attack with him? Sure. But what you're really doing with this guy is, when you discard him, you can pay 2. And if you do, search your deck for a Silver Army unit and put it into play. Okay, so what we're doing with this guy is, Metaial says instead of drawing for turn, you can discard a card. And if you do, search your deck for a Silver Army General and add it to your hand. So if you've got Liam in your hand, at the beginning of your draw, right, instead of drawing for turn, you'll discard Liam. And then Liam's ability is, you'll pay 2. So pretty much if you save 2 shards up going into each turn, like at the end of each turn you still have 2 shards up, at the beginning of the next turn you discard Liam, you pay your 2, and you get a guaranteed unit. And the units you're usually bringing out are going to be Inquisitors or Overseers. And basically just doing this, and then you search for another Liam, because we've got 2 of these in here. Some people run 3, I only run 2 because I just don't feel like I ever need the third. If I need the third, I've done something wrong, basically. Anyway, so then, yeah, so you're just like discarding a Liam, and then you're searching for a Liam, and you're putting a Silver Army unit into play. And then Metaial's other ability is you pay 1, put a Silver General unit from your discard zone to the bottom of your deck and draw a card. So then you can just recycle your Liam, bloop, into the bottom of your deck and do it again and again and again and again. And you just have guaranteed Silver Army draw off of your Metaial ability paired with your Liam Silver General. The other Silver General, the only other Silver General that I put in here, ignoring many others, is Ella, Corrupted by Love. This is 3-cost, 2,000 power, Argent unit, Silver General, and a Sky Raider. Don't forget that. Ella is in here for her utility, essentially because opponents are now playing Hokan Warding Amulets, which makes it so I can't target units or activate abilities of units in my discard. Ella, when this card is discarded, like via Metaial's ability, right? You can discard a card at the beginning of your turn. you can pay 1. If you do, target unit or augment loses all abilities this turn. So you can just like neutralize problematic cards, including augments. You can also actually play this card, discard one of the Liams from your hand, and make something else lose its abilities that way. Really, it's just to save you from Hook and Warding Amulet. I only main deck 1, but then I have another in my sideboard that I often bring in because I am assuming that the opponent is bringing in problematic cards in game 2, and so I'm going to bring in another Ella to deal with those problematic cards. And let's move on to the dark package. So, and then we'll go back to some more augments. So Serpio is a 12 affinity spirit, so we need to have either 0 dark cards in this deck or 12 dark cards in this deck. So we're going to have 12. So I like to start with. So here's the deal, man. If you're playing Met, you've got to survive. Liam and Rena and Hadir are going to want to kill you as fast as possible so that you can't play Big Papa and start taking care of the game. So you've got to survive. And one of the ways I like to do that is this Throne Guard. Here's why. Hear me out. It's a 1 cost. Basically, when I play Met, on turn 2, I want to leave the 2 shards up. So because I want to use Metaial's ability on the next turn to discard Liam and pay 2 and then put something good into play at the beginning of turn 3 and then untap everything and then actually play turn 3, right? So my turn 2s are really uneventful. My turn 2, I'm basically discarding a card with Metaial to search for a Liam corrupted, and then going into turn 3, I play something from discarding the Liam corrupted, right? So that means my turn 1 has to be really spicy, and I like to fill my deck with things I can do on turn 1 or things I can just do for 1, because then on turn 3 I can play another 1-drop and save 2 up to use Metaial and Liam again on turn 3, right? Going into turn 4, I guess that would be. So this is just a 1 cost. It's a Guardian, but when it's ruined, target unit loses all abilities. So not only is this a Guardian that will keep me alive, not only is it a Guardian that does damage, which not all 1-drop Guardians do, right? This is a Guardian that I can sack with Serpio at instant speed to make a target unit lose all abilities. Nudge, nudge, Bone Scavenger. So enemy number 1 for Metaial is going to be Bone Scavenger. So this is one of my ways of dealing with a pesky Bone Scavenger. Yeah, you could deal with other stuff too, but basically I'm just waiting for Bone Scavenger. So much so that sometimes I'll actually keep these in my hand, and then I'll wait, and when the Bone Scavenger hits the field, I'll play it, sack it, and neuter the Bone Scav, just to get rid of the ability. So that's kind of nice. Moving on from there, our next 3 dark cards are going to be Treat. So this is a 1-cost instant spell, so you can cast it any time you have priority, including your opponent's turn or during combat, whatever. You, as an additional cost to play this card, you sacrifice a unit, and then you get to search your deck for a number of cards equal to the sacrifice unit's cost and send them to the discard zone. So this is your way of tutoring for that guy, basically, because you want this in your hand, or else. You need this in your hand, basically. So if you don't draw this in the first 5 cards, you mulligan all 5 cards. Except unless you draw a treat. Then you might just save a treat and mulligan 4 cards. You're just doing whatever you can to get Metaial in your hand. And then what you're going to do, if you don't have Metaial and you have a treat, fine. What you'll do, you'll wait for an opportune moment when the opponent can't, ideally they're tapped out or something so they can't mess with your plan. And then you'll treat one of your guys, you'll put Metaial in your discard, and then you'll use these pawns, right? You can exhaust 2 pawns or a pawn and another silver army unit to put it back in your hand. And then boom, boom, boom. Now you've got Metaial in your hand and ready to harass your opponent. Then we're going to have 3 Omega Magic Yamis, 2-cost, insta-cast. Essentially, this is another way to deal with a Bone Scavenger if they play it too soon. Like if they play it on turn 1 before there's anything else to interact with, you could kill it before it has a chance to grow if you're willing to Yami it on turn 2, if you're that afraid of Bone Scavs and you don't have like one of your other answers in here, like a Throne Guard or the next dark card we'll talk about. The other great thing about this, though, is you can do a lot of shenanigans with your own cards. Like you can bring back at instant speed at the end of your opponent's turn, bring back an Inquisitor into play, and then the Inquisitor brings back something else and brings back something else, right? You can bring back an Overseer and then sack it to get 2 pawns. You can do all kinds of shenanigans with Yami. We do have other cards in here too that we can bring back with Yami, but it's just a really powerful, good card. And there's no reason not to have 3 of them. Next is, again, basically just a way to kill. Sure, you could kill anything, but I'm killing Bone Scavengers with this. It's a 1-cost augment, delayed poison, equipped to target unit. Things that can't be targeted by spells can be targeted by this, which is nice. So if they play a Bone Scavenger, I'll poison it and kill it, or I'll Yami it and kill it, or I'll neuter it with Throne Guard. And between those 9 responses, I do not have very much trouble with Bone Scavs. That's what I find. And if I can avoid a toxic Bone Scav, and if I can survive to turn 4, I usually win. That's been my experience with this. But there's a lot of other people are getting a lot more experience playing against Metaial, so I don't expect that winning streak to stay. I think people are figuring out how to beat it. So moving on from the dark, we have a few more Argent units we're going to talk about. We talked about survival to turn 4, so we have the Throne Guards in there as 3 ways to survive. And then I like to play these 3 Argent Eggs. It's a 1-cost Argent Guardian. When it dies, then you play 500 power Whelp token, one of these guys. He doesn't have Guardian, but it's something you can scout a tower with it, or you can sacrifice it to Metaial or something like that. This is also nice because this is an Argent unit, meaning you can use Silver Pawn's ability to bring it back into play. So that's actually surprisingly handy. You'll find if you're trying to fight against aggro, you can just bring these eggs back into play and survive a little bit longer, which is nice. Then we're going to do 2 Bone Scavengers. This is a 1-cost, 1,000 power unit. We've already talked about it quite a bit. Basically just to expel things from the opponent's discard. It's good against the mirror match. If you're going to mirror against Metaial. It's an Argent unit, so you can bring it back with the Silver Pawns. It only costs 1, so you can play it without interfering with your Liam stuff. You really want your stuff to be low to the ground for this deck to work. I do put 1 Acid Monger in here to destroy target augment. I can search for it with my treat if I need it. I can throw it into the discard and then bring it back into my hand with Pawn and then play it to destroy a Hoken Warding Amulet or some problematic green thing, or even a light augment that I don't want to stick on the board. That's fine too. I do have 1 Great Behemoth because sometimes you just need a little extra power, right? And if I find I don't need it for the deck, I'll sideboard it out. But I actually put another one in my sideboard and I bring it in if I find that I do need it. It's an Argent unit too, so I can bring it back with Silver Pawn. And it just makes all my little pawns and overseers and inquisitors and everything else just bigger. So that's kind of handy. I do put 1 Eccentric Visitor in here. Wonderful card. 2,000 power, 3 cost. It's a Yami target at a 3 cost. It's an Argent unit, so you can bring it back into your hand with your Silver Army. And basically, if you've Soul Bursted your Spirit because you're using a Corona Shard or something, then you get to flip your Spirit back up. Or if you Soul Bursted to fight aggro, you can flip it back up. I also have 1 more of these in my sideboard that I like to bring in. Speaking of which, let's talk about that sideboard because it's actually pretty darn flexible. Even the main deck, you see different variants of Metaial out there. What do I sideboard? Well, so my primary towers that I play, I guess we should talk about that first. I do Tower of Water for the extra card draw because I'm searching for Metaial, right? I do Surging Shadows because I'm not attacking towers. I'm just getting attacked, typically. So this will trigger, right? My Spirit is dark, and I get to recur a 3-cost unit. Because I'm discarding things for Metaial's ability, and because I can trigger ruined abilities and I can sacrifice things using Serpio's ability, this very commonly gets me something great and puts it back on the field. I use Embers to help stay alive, but then I sideboard Tower of Fire, and then if they're not playing aggro, I'll trade out Embers and I'll put in Fire. Fine. And then I do Tower of Air, again, just to stay alive, bounce 2 units. And then Tower of Light, because of the Guardian, to stay alive. So yeah, so in the sideboard, yeah, I like to have Fire in there, just to have, because if they're not playing aggro, Embers just falls flat. They're going to have some huge unit that you're trying to kill, and you're like, oh, I guess I'll do 1,000 of that, and then 1,500 of that. No, I just want to destroy it. When this card is destroyed, you can destroy a unit. Perfect. Then I have that 1 more Ella we talked about, just in case they have like Hoken Warding Amulet, some other thing with abilities that I'm going to want to shut down. I put 3 Golems of Devourment in here. Here's the deal, though. I'm on the fence. This sideboard, by the way, you're going to notice it's more than 15 cards because I'm still kind of working with it. I used to main deck these because I found that if I played against Liam, if I just had one of these in my hand, I basically won because it saves you from 3 attacks, which slows Liam down enough that it's like game over. But I really hate that it costs 2. Because what do? If I play this on turn 2, it slows me down. Unless I have the perfect assortment of cards in my hand. So if I can get away with Throne Guards and Argent Eggs, I would like to do it. But this is an amazing card. Unless it clogs in your hand, you get multiples. But if you don't get multiples in your hand or the initial couple draw, then you're playing against aggro, he's going to save you, and then you're going to be laughing all your way to the bank. Some people play Shriekers. I personally don't. Although a Shrieker comes into play, you send the top 3 cards of your deck to the discard zone. Although sending 3 to your discard zone could help you get to Metaial faster. And I respect that. I dig that. Everybody plays Bone Scavengers. And now there's that Slurper card from Hoken that can exile something. And then people play Soul Severing and they side them in. I just feel like what this ends up doing is it ends up making the things I need vulnerable to exile. So I really prefer keeping things in my deck. But I just want to show you guys that. It's not in my sideboard, but it's in a lot of people's Metaial builds. So I just want to show you that because it's fair. Some people play Melante's Gaze as a 1-drop spell. It can be helpful. You get to choose. You get to look at your opponent's hand first of all, which is great. But then you get to choose a non-unit card among them with cost 2 and make them discard it. So if your opponent's playing Fire, you're worried about the 2-cost Void Flame Expulsion spell that is going to expel your Metaial, and then you can add to the stack after they cast it, right? Well, that's a 2-cost spell. So if you're playing against Fire, before you play your Met, you can just gaze them, see if they have it, kick it out, and then play your Met. Worry free. You can also, it's just nice to see the hand, to see if they have a Sylphia, to see if they have something else you got to worry about. You can eliminate a Vabriel's Gift so they can't search for their Sylphia. You can get rid of an ASB. You can get rid of some good stuff with Melante's Gaze. I don't know. I was playing around with these against the Mirror because I was like, maybe if I'm playing against Mirror Met on turn 5, I could drop this and name Celestial and bump it out. But it's so big. I feel like it just slows the deck down. I've seen some people play with it. I don't think it's the right answer for this, just because what I've found playing Metaial is that if you get distracted from just achieving your goal of getting Big Papa on the board, you're more likely to lose. Like if you get caught up in Bone Scavenger battles or protecting things or whatever, screw it. Just let them do their thing. Let them eat things with the Bone Scavenger and worry about your discard and do whatever, and just set up your combo and just nail it. That's kind of what I've found. I put another Bone Scavenger in here just in case you're against the Mirror Metaial. Then you'll probably want 3 of them. There's an Eccentric Visitor in case you feel like you would like to have that Chrono Shard up again or your Soul Burst again. A Behemoth in case you need to make your units bigger. Like if they're just, maybe you're playing against Rain and Rain's just doing 1,000 damage a time all the time. Throw some Behemoths in there and then make it a lot harder for Rain to take out all your small units. That'd be kind of fun. If you get bad augments, put some more Acid Mongers in there. I didn't put the big ones in just because, again, I want all of my ancillary bonus cards to be like low to the ground. And I don't need extra card draw because Metaial is just like filling your hand all the time with pawns. And I don't need to break towers with like Ravenous Acid Mongers. So this was the boy. This was him. Little 2-cost, destroy an augment. And then get rid of him and then do it again, again. And that's it. That's the evil, wicked, dirty Metaial Serpio, there to create enemies and lose friends. Just kidding. No, he's actually fun to play and challenging to play against. Definitely a powerful deck. You should consider it if you are struggling. Consider this build, and he takes a little practice. And the joke is that once you're playing Met, you're basically playing the game against yourself. And that's true. You've just got to kind of think it out and get some practice, and then you're going to win some games, man, because this deck is not joking around. And that is all I've got. Argos out.